Coming up on Network Africa, voting is underway in Ghana's presidential election. And the High Court in the Gambia releases 12 political prisoners on bail. Plus, UN envoy calls for reconciliation and humanitarian aid in Yei, South Sudan. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am BC Adebayo. Voting is underway in Ghana's presidential election in what analysts say is a tight race between President John Mahama and veteran opposition leader Nana Akufo-Addo. All 7 candidates have pledged to keep the process peaceful. The campaign has been dominated by the faltering state of Ghana's economy and the issue of corruption. Results are expected within 3 days.
Long queues form at voting stations in Ghana as President John Mahama runs for a second and final term. Some voters queued overnight to cast their ballots in a show of enthusiasm for a hotly contested vote. The election is being held against the backdrop of an economy that has slowed sharply since he took power.
Things have got out of hands, and so there's a need to elect a new president who will be for the people, the heart of the people will be at his heart, very caring, very tolerant, uncorruptible president, and the president who will make sure money that belongs to the state, if you squander them, will be punished.
There have been few opinion polls, but most political analysts say the vote could be close, with a strong challenge from opposition leader and former foreign minister Nana Akufo-Addo.
I'm a graduate and I'm very happy to partake in this election. It's one of the toughest elections in Ghana. And any party, as whether MPP, NDC, CBP, any party that comes out to win this election, we are all going to support that party, irrespective of whether we are that party or not. So our main concern is for that party to solve the employment sector.
The leader of the New Patriotic Party narrowly lost to Mahama in the last election. President Mahama on Tuesday accused Akufo-Addo of deliberately undermining confidence in the voting process. But the opposition leader called on voters to rally behind him, saying he has the credentials to quickly turn the economy around and is not looking to amass personal wealth. Ghana is held up as a beacon of democracy in West Africa with a track record of peaceful elections. Twice since the year 2000, voters have rejected the government of the day.
Joining us now is VOA's Peter Clotty covering the story for us in Ghana. Thank you for joining us, Peter. But what can you tell us about the process so far?
Well, the process has been smooth. Hitches here and there because some people couldn't find their names, because when the voters register or voter lists were displayed, they did not go to verify their name and supply the right information. So it made it difficult for the presiding election officials to really find their names in the register. So there was a backup register that was brought in. Some of them were able, others were not able, because they failed in the first instance to find their name, supply the right information to the electoral commission.
Well, Peter, I believe you've spoken to a few of the voters. Well, what are they saying about the elections and, of course, the candidates?
Well, when you speak, there are only a few independent supporters. It's sharply divided into two. When you speak to the supporters of the NPP, they are all for change. When you speak to the supporters of the ruling party or the National Democratic Congress, they say They support the continuation of infrastructural and developmental projects that President Dramani Mahama has been undertaking for the last 4 or so years. So this is what has been happening so far with what they have been saying about who takes over the Flagstaff House, the seat of government.
We'll hear about pockets of violence here and there, like the one that happened on Monday, for instance. What can you tell us about how peaceful the elections have been?
Well, I spoke with some security officials who were posted in those places where alleged pockets of violence occurred, and they said it was simply a misunderstanding and not violence. What happened was that some people started throwing allegations and counter-allegations, so the officers sat them down, they resolved their concerns, and voting continued as originally scheduled. There is no violence reported as is being reported by some media organizations. These were the sentiments that I got from the Ghanaian police.
And there's no doubt that whoever comes out victorious in this election has a lot to do, especially with regards to the economy. Well, tell us, what do you think should be the priority of whoever comes out victorious in this election?
Well, Nana Addo Dankwa, the main opposition leader, he says he wants to clean house, he wants to fight graft. He wants to institute an independent investigative body headed by an independent prosecutor to prosecute those who are alleged to have stolen public funds from the government. However, on the side of the government, led by President John Dramani Mahama, he wants to continue implementing the developmental projects that the party has espoused. So these are the competing narratives. It remains to be seen who comes up on top, because in a few hours' time, polling will officially close. However, those who are in line after 5 p.m. could still vote. Now, those who are not in line after 5 p.m. will not be allowed to vote per the constitutional rule.
Okay, let's talk about the people. What are their expectations? In the reports we rolled earlier, some